no, listen, man. How are you going from doing that and having fun talking about basketball to doing King Charles, your show on CNN with you and Gail King? By the way, airs tonight, this Wednesday night. Definitely, you're gonna look forward to that. I got to admit to you, I was kind of surprised because I know how passionate you are about certain issues, and I get that. But I watched you
Yeah.
on with Gail King a few times. You look more and more polished and more comfortable talking about serious issues and politics and all that stuff, more so than I've ever seen you before. Talk about that for a second, because that is definitely a change for you to some degree, in my opinion.
Well, it's definitely a change. Stephen A., when you're a jock, obviously things have changed, but these guys have all these social media platforms. They can say what they want to. And now you guys are asking them way more stuff about life, which I think is really cool and important. They're not just shut up and dribble. They're really important. They got vast amount of wealth that they can really do some things. And I didn't want to work more, to be honest with you. But Gail didn't want to work more, but we want to work together because I
Mm.
got a lot of love and respect for Gail.
Yeah, she's a friend. I've
But
known her for
yeah,
years.
but man, there's some interesting times we're in. A political climate, this political climate we're in, where people are trying to block the black vote in certain states. I think we really need to pay attention to that. People are being really harsh. I'm a big proponent of gay, transgender people. There's a
Hmm.
lot of hate and discrimination going on against gay and transgender people because I want to
Hmm.
make sure I stand up for those people because, there are very few people who are going to have enough power to stand up for those type of people. And I always want to make sure I stand up against any form of discrimination. And I feel very good, very confident. Like I say, I don't think I'm always right, but if I see any hatred, we got a lot of anti-Semitism going on right
Right.
now. I'm standing up for those people because I want them to stand up for me. That goes back to my original thing. Like, hey man, I want allies. I'm not trying to alienate anybody. I don't want to be on an island by myself. Anybody want to help black people? I want your help. I want your support. Because the wealth gap in this country has exploded. Things have. We got this presidential election coming up. That's a really, really big.
That's where I was
It's
going.
a really, really big deal. We got two candidates. I'm not happy with either candidate. Uh,
Neither am I.
I think that Mr. Biden's had a great, great life and career. I just think he's too old to be the president. And President Trump, man, I don't want our president acting like that.
Right.
Whether I disagree with your policies or whatever, there's a certain dignity that goes with being president of the United States. I can
Without
disagree.
question.
I consider myself an independent. Uh, I voted Democratic.
So do
Yeah,
I.
I vote Democratic most of the time. And
So do I.
yeah, but I think that we got to start doing a better job, Stephen A., because I have voted Democratic my entire life. But I think they've been doing a disservice to black people. That don't mean I want them to go out there and vote Republican now. Let's get that shit out the
Right.
way. But every black person I've known my entire life has always voted Democratic. And I said to myself, well, damn, other than me dunking a basketball, everybody else in the exact same boat. And I think we got to do a much better job if we vote Democratic to hold them accountable and do more instead of showing up in our neighborhoods every 4 years and saying, vote for us. And that's what they've actually been doing for the last, as long as I've been alive, because, these neighborhoods are the same, these schools are the same, the economic opportunities are the same. And like I say, I just don't like the way I just don't like the way President Trump carries himself. And like I say, people can vote for him. I don't tell anybody to vote for him, but I'm gonna have my opinion. I'm really excited to have Nikki Haley on tonight because I went at her pretty hard about a month ago because she said she didn't believe racism existed in America.
Which was utterly
And
ridiculous. I went at her hard too.
I said, well, I think she's right. If you discredit slavery, Jim Crow, segregation. I said, it's been peachy keen for us black folks if you take those three things
Civil
out of it.
War,
And I was just, and I'm
Reconstruction.
gonna tell her this tonight. I said, I said,
Tell her this Wednesday night. Yeah, go ahead.
tonight I'm gonna tell her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, listen, I'm not mad at you. I'm disappointed because
Hmm.
I'm looking for somebody to vote for. Because my vote means something to me. It might not mean a damn thing to anybody else out there, but it means a lot to me because I look at all those black people who've been beat with sticks, nightsticks, dog sicked on them, spray
Hmm.
hose. They're out there marching for me to have the right to vote. So my vote means something to me. I don't give a damn what everybody else thinks. So my vote means something to me. So I've been looking for somebody to vote for.
Let me share a few opinions with you and let me get your reaction to them. I'm just going to give it up to you in one lump sum. I am a fiscal conservative and a social liberal, which makes me an independent. I'm all for liberalism on the social side. I'm about gay rights, transgender rights, et cetera, pro-choice. I don't believe I have a right to tell a woman what to do with her body. But in the same breath, when we look at a lot of policies that come raking through Capitol Hill or sifting through Capitol Hill, one of the things that obviously plays a role in every single decision that is made, they ask you how you're going to pay for it. Like Planned Parenthood. Okay, pro-choice. You can be pro-choice, but do you think somebody has the right to say that, you know what, if I wanted an abortion, that federal funding should subsidize that? So you think about things like that. That's one
Hmm.
thing. I think about certain Republican candidates. Would I vote for Nikki Haley? I'd strongly consider it compared to what we have out there. I'd strongly think about it. I was a fan of John Kasich when he ran in 2016.
Hey,
I
Stephen A.
know. Yep.
John Kasich is the only Republican I've ever voted for president.
Wow. You voted for
I
him?
did. He's the
Wow.
only
I've never
Republican. He's the only Republican I've ever voted for president.
the only Republican I've ever voted for, period, was Chris Christie. And that was a governor in New Jersey because I couldn't stand Corzine at the time because I thought he was an absolute mess. But I thought about Christie. You look at Kasich, definitely him. Marco Rubio is somebody I would have considered. Jeb Bush is somebody I would have considered. And I bring those nuggets up, Charles, to get to this point in terms of what you said about the Democratic Party. I despise when folks look at Republicans and automatically throw out the word race because that implies that on the Democratic side, none of them are. And last time I checked throughout history, there have been Democrats who were associated with the Ku Klux Klan and other things that were widely considered racist, and they were a part of the Democratic Party. So when we get caught up in that and we don't know our history enough, or at least well enough to know what role the Democrats have played in the past, it gets me a bit concerned because that to me is why black folks are struggling because we're very adamant and open and transparent against the Republican Party. As a result, it gives the Democrats a license to take us for granted. And then that's how we become disenfranchised because we don't really have anybody representing our interests.
Well,
That's where I'm coming from with it. How do you feel about that?
well, first of all, you hit on some serious power points there. Number one, I'm pro-choice. I'm really pro-choice. I don't think we should tell women how to do what to do with their body.
Right?
Listen, I think the one thing we have to realize, both of these parties are full of shit, Stephen A. That's the first thing we have to. It's an individual. Like there's some people in both parties that are great,
That are
but
great
both
people,
parties in general,
are full of it.
they're full of it. They don't care about the American people. They just care about their district and the things like that. Listen, I'm pro-choice. I I actually wanted to vote for Christie. I really did. I've always liked Chris Christie. I 100% agree with you. And he just obviously he's out of the thing right now. Listen, I
Yeah,
still might
he's
vote
out
for
of
him because I don't. When I
it.
vote, I write in because like I say, I'm not going to vote for somebody just because they're a Democrat or a Republican. But if I tell my black friends, man, if you're gonna vote Democratic, that's fine. I've always voted Democratic. But why do we let them off the hook? They only come around every 4 years. That they never put programs in place to help us to be more successful. I mean,
They put it in place to help us be more dependent on them.
yes. I like. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Y'all just came up with $95 million for Ukraine. Like
Billion.
billion, not
Billion.
95 billion. I said, wait a minute. And I'm saying to myself, I'm not pretty sure you don't have that over there in the petty cash drawer. If you got, you came up with $95 billion, and
What about the trillions they printed out when COVID was going on?
but like, wait, could we have been using that money to improve the public school system and things like that? Yes,
Homelessness,
homeless. I mean, because
veterans.
homelessness. Well, listen, man, and this crime wave we got going around the country where people just running in stores. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. People just running in stores, robbing people, all this homeless stuff. It's just to the point, yo, man. We elected y'all to do y'all job. Y'all do your job. Stop this homelessness stuff. Get these people off the street. Find some other way to leave them in front of just out and taking advantage of the public. And hey, if you come in these stores robbing people, number one, it's open season on your ass. But also, if we catch you, you're going to jail.
Yeah,
I've been coming up here to New York to do this show for like the last couple months, and like
yeah.
two,
And you see the streets. You see the streets in New
dude,
York.
3 weeks ago on TV, they had these migrants. First of all, the border is a joke. The border is a joke.
Yeah.
But they had these migrants, they call them, had just bust up in New York. They got them on camera kicking and beating like cops. They beat up these,
Two
yeah.
cops beating up two cops,
But
beating up two police
they
officers in
were
the subway
Stephen A.
station.
They were out of jail in 24 hours, and the next day,
Actually, it was the same day, Charles. It was the
yeah,
same day.
but 2 days later, they called him robbing Macy's. I like,
Wow.
wait, first of all, they beat up cops. How are you out of jail in 24 hours? And then clearly, 2 days later, they're robbing Macy's. Anybody, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or dog, or cat, or puppy, you know that's wrong. Period.
But it's woke culture. But with woke culture and everything else that's been going on, you've got folks on the left that have endorsed a more lenient legal system, and obviously folks on the right going crazy about it and calling for law and order. Who do you side with, considering our iniquitous history, what's going on today, and who the candidates are in terms of Biden and Trump, in all likelihood, running for office? What do you do, Charles? Who do you vote for?
First of all, we need law and order, Stephen A.
I
If
agree.
we're gonna,
I'm with
yeah,
you.
dude, we need law and order. Hey, trying to fix inequalities has nothing to do with letting people go in stores and rob people. That has nothing to do. That has nothing to do with diversity or handling inequalities. Letting random people just run in all these stores stealing stuff, and because innocent people, they should always be protected. But we need law and order. Yeah, do we need to address diversity and inequalities? 100%. But to go out here and says, oh, like this, that's my personal favorite. Unless you steal $1,000, we're not going to press charges. Well, Stephen A., I want that same damn deal. I want to be able.
How about the 53 million in prepaid credit
Uh,
cards for migrants?
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I mean, come on, man. And
Yeah. Black folks been in the streets, Latinos been in the streets, homeless, minorities have been in the streets, homeless, starving for years. We ain't never got anything like that.
like,
I grew up on
hey,
welfare. What
hey,
they talking
hey,
about? I'm
and
like, we ain't
I'm
never had
not
nothing like
laughing.
that.
They didn't they just wait. We gonna find $53 million. I'm like, damn, we can do a lot with $53 million. I mean, but man, that's why I say this whole thing is broken, and we need some adults to come and say, hey, listen, I understand some things, but yeah, we just not gonna let everybody run wild and do what the hell they want to do. I mean, because that's just not right. I mean, it's just not right and it's just not fair.
So if that's the case, Charles, I go back to my original question directly. Biden or Trump?
Neither. I'm not voting for either one of them.
Wow.
First of all, I
Okay.
told you. Listen, Mr. Biden, President Biden had a great life, and I think he's a great man. He's just too old to be president. And under no circumstances, zero, would I vote for Trump. Under no circumstances. Like right now, I'm gonna write in somebody. I'm looking forward to interviewing Nikki Haley. Because
Mhm.
the first thing I'm gonna tell her, Stephen A., I'm disappointed in you what you said. And you want to know
Yeah.
why? Because you felt the need to say that to that group of people. So she
Mm.
was catering to that group.
That's what they all
I
do.
know that. But for her to say there's never been racism in America,
Utterly
and first of all,
ridiculous.
as a minority and a woman, for her to say that. But what hurt me and disappointed me the most was she felt like that's what that group wanted to hear. That's what bothered me, Stephen A. Stephen A., listen, I've known you for a long time, and you damn sure know Chuck. I ain't never, I told you, there's two things ain't gonna happen. If y'all catch my big black ass in bed naked with a gun in my hand, and they say I committed suicide, call Perry Mason, Barnaby Jones, or somebody. That didn't happen.
Right.
Hey, that's the first thing. I ain't never gonna kill myself. Secondly, I ain't never gonna go in no room saying I'm gonna tell y'all what y'all want to hear. That ain't never gonna happen. Dude, I made
Right.
my name and reputation on being honest. Am I always right? 100% not. But I ain't never got on television, your show, any place in the world says, I'm going to tell y'all what y'all want to hear. Y'all ask me a
Goodbye.
question, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to try to be fair, and I'm going to tell my truth. It's my truth. It ain't
Mm.
nobody else's truth. But I ain't never going to do those two things I just said it.
You, you still want to run for office?
No, man, because I realize that both of these parties are full of it, Stephen A. Stephen A., listen, when you watch politics every day, they disagree on every subject.
Yep.
That's impossible.
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 And it's also impossible that they all side all of them that are Republicans and all of them are Democrats side with each other on every single issue as well.
That's
It's
impossible.
also
I
impossible.
told somebody one time, man, I could go in the room with a dude from the Ku Klux Klan and we would not disagree on every subject. Now, will we disagree on race? 100%. But there's no way. I always use the Ku Klux Klan analogy, but I'm pretty sure if I went in the room with any single person in the world where we disagree on every subject, that's impossible. Impossible.
Question for you. Are you ready for this one? If I was running, would you vote for me?
Yeah. You know what? Yes, because Stephen A. The one.
Oh Lord, I was only joking.
No. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because I know you don't have an evil bone in your body, and I don't think you
Appreciate that.
have a agenda. See, that's all I want. I can disagree.
Right.
Even if you vote for somebody, you're not going to agree on every subject. Come on. If whoever I vote for, some of these politicians, they're still, they're talking about abortion. I said, hey, abortion is a non-starter for me. I'll vote for you, but I want you to know I'm pro-choice. Period. You
Right.
can't talk me off the ledge. I'm pro-choice. Or it could be another subject. And I said, okay, I'm still going to vote for you. We just disagree on a couple subjects. As long as you don't have a hidden agenda, you can have my
And malice intent.
malice intent, or we just disagree.
Right.
I can disagree with somebody. One of my favorite phrases, I use it all the time when I'm talking to my homeboys, bruh, we agree to disagree. And I ain't mad at you, and you ain't mad at me. We just disagree. I'm good with that.
You have an opportunity, Charles Barkley, with King Charles and Gayle King. Your influence continues to grow. Let's hypothetically speak this into existence. It gets to a point where you have the potential to swing an election. Who do you get to convince to run for the Democratic nomination and ultimately the presidency? Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, or the former First Lady Michelle Obama?
Well, I probably would go with Gavin Newsom for the simple fact he's been in politics, ran a big state before. First of all, that to me would be a perfect ticket. That would be a perfect ticket. I'm a big Gavin Newsom fan. I think obviously a huge advantage that he's ran a state as big as
Yeah.
California. Uh,
A lot of homelessness and crime and immigration issues, though,
it's but
to be
but
fair.
hey, all the states got the same issue, man. Listen,
Texas,
yeah.
Florida.
Every state got issues, but the only reason I would give him an advantage is because he's actually, hey man, everybody say they want a job, Stephen A. until they get the job. Hey, everybody says they want the job until they get the job because you don't know. There's very few jobs that people can be like. Okay, I want that job. Yeah, you think you want that job, but you don't know what all that job entails. And like I say, I would. Hey, listen. If Gavin Newsom and Michelle Obama ran, I'll tell you right now, they got my vote. They got my. I don't care. I don't care who's leading the ticket. To be honest with you, I don't care who's leading the ticket. I'm a big Gavin Newsom fan, but man, right now, I'm the greatest country in the world. This is what we got going on right now.
We're in
I am really
shambles.
worried. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I'm really concerned what the next year holds. I really am. The next year, uh, and the people.
I got to tell. I'll put it to you this way, Charles. I'm scared shitless
Yeah.
for two reasons. Number one, on the side of Biden, it's not that you old; it's that you look it. You clearly have lost a step. You're not what you used to be, and we can see it as clear as day. On the part of Trump, I look at him and I say, civil war is imminent if this dude is the president because I think he's going to be on a revenge tour. I think he's going to be insensitive to leading all of America. And as a result, he's going to be as divisive as ever and as vindictive as ever. And we're not going to be having somebody that's actually running the country. I'm scared to death, more so than I have ever been in my adult life, because I don't want either of them to be the president of the United States. But I don't know if Gavin Newsom can beat Trump. I think Michelle Obama could beat Trump. I don't think Gavin Newsom can. And in the case of Nikki Haley, I don't think she's going to be able to beat Trump either. And that is where my fear lies.
Well, I think I actually it's so funny you said that because we haven't even talked about this before. I think if Trump is reelected, he's going to spend the next 4 years paying back people. And man, people don't want payback. You know, it's interesting. I watch a lot of television. I think it's really important, significant. I know what's going on in the world, not just my world. You know, I look at those
Yep.
poor. I look at those poor people in Hawaii. You know, we got to help Hawaii rebuild. We really got to solve this border problem. I mean, that's what people care about. People don't care about sexual assaults, what happened, and things. I know it's important. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about Hunter Biden. Man, people won't like, yo, man, how can we solve this migrant problem? How can we solve this inflation problem? Because people out here, they out here starving, man. What are we gonna do about
Yeah.
homeless?
Paying
I
$7
don't
for
want to.
milk. And don't get me
I don't
started with
want to.
gas prices.
Yeah, I don't want to turn on TV and says they're getting ready to sue Biden, Hunter Biden. Man, I don't care. Number one, I want to make sure I clarifies. Nobody want to talk about the sexual stuff that went on with Trump in the 80s and 90s. We're living in 2024. Like, yo, man, can we get these gas prices down? Can we help Hawaii? Can we stop this migrant stuff? Can we stop this crime? That's what everyday people really concern themselves with. Ain't nobody sitting around saying, yo, man, what do you think they're going to do to Hunter Biden? We don't care. Wait, man, Trump raped that girl. Number one, he has to pay that civil thing, whatever, what happened. But no, man, listen, whatever happened, happened. That's none of my business. How can we solve some of the
Right.
problems we got going on right now? And these politicians are playing games with us, man. I watched it earlier today. They're like,
Pawns.
they got proof that some of the stuff they came up with on Biden was not true. And they're like, we don't care. We're going to try to impeach him anyway. I'm like, see, this is the problem with the system.
System is garbage. Let me transition and get back into both of our wheelhouse, which is the world of sports, because we talk so much politics and I really, really appreciate it. But before I get to sports, I'll ask you this one last question about King Charles. If that show were to accomplish one thing above all else with you and Gail King on CNN, what would you want it to be?
Well, I want us to venture away from the CNN narrative. I think CNN,
Which
I
is,
think CNN has made a big mistake. To be honest with you, they spend way too much time going after Trump.
mhm,
Uh, it doesn't matter what you say about Trump. Those people love that dude. They don't.
and they're going to
They
vote
gonna
for him.
vote for him. I think that's one of the reasons we've been going down a rabbit's hole for the last few years. Um, Come on, man. And that's the one thing I said. I said, yo, man, I'm not gonna get on TV and blast Trump every day because that's why we're in the last fucking place. Because they don't care. They don't care. There's nothing that dude can do. Like, I use this analogy. Can you imagine if all this shit came out about President Obama?
Oh my
Oh
God.
my, they would have burned.
They might have put him out. They might have pulled him out of the White House in
I
cuffs.
know they would have burned down the White House. And like the dude, he apparently raped this woman. She won 80 some million. Then last week he gets like a 300 or 400 million dollars. Like, man.
355 million civil suit judgment
And
against him.
then people get on TV. It's just
And gave him more money and bought his
come on,
sneakers.
man. Oh, hey, don't get me started on that.
The
Yeah, because
sneakers.
let me tell you something. Can you imagine if President Obama put out sneakers, what they'd be saying? Come on, man.
Oh my
That,
Lord.
hey,
I will say this
I,
though.
no, I was
Those
telling my
plain white
homeboys,
sneakers did
I
look
was
good.
telling my homeboys the other night. I was like, yo, man, can you imagine what they'd be calling President Obama if he came out with sneakers?
Mm. I'll tell you something right now. I'll say it. I'll say it right on these public airwaves. Keeping your show on the air. I hope it continues. I'm wishing you and Gail nothing but the greatest success. Can't wait till y'all invite me on as a guest, by the way, because I know you said you wanted to do that. And she told me this weekend when she saw me in Indy, she wanted to do that as
Of
well.
course.
I will tell you this. I will tell you this. I think if CNN was smart, you keep your show, you go back and you get Chris Cuomo. You go back and you get him because you say you want to be a centrist. You don't want to be too far left. You don't want to be too far right. He's a centrist, and it's the best they've had, their best ratings. If I were them, let bygones be bygones, shove all of that aside, and get Chris Cuomo back to CNN. That's
Hey,
what I would do,
listen,
Charles.
hey, I'm a Cuomo guy. I consider us friends. I
Yes,
like him. First of all, you know it's so funny when you said it. First of all, everybody should be a centrist.
I agree,
Everybody should be a centrist. Now,
but everybody's
you
not.
can go either way on certain issues, but everybody should start in the middle.
Mm,
I hate when people say to me, "Well, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat." I'm like,
mhm,
"Well, you don't even know where they stand on some things." Like,
right.
come on, you can't say I'm a. What does that mean? I'm a Republican. What does that mean? I'm a Democrat. You're supposed to vote for the person you think going to do the best job. Not, well, I'm always going to vote Republican. I'm always going to vote Democratic. I think that's the stupidest thing ever.
It's a two-party system that fuels their coffers. That's all it does. And I'll tell you something else I'll say here, Charles. You ready for this? That whole Andrew Cuomo thing, that basically was just to get him out of office. We've barely heard anything about it since he's been removed from the governor's seat in New York State. It wouldn't bother me if Andrew Cuomo was back in the mix, politically speaking.
Yeah, like I say, hey, listen, I we have to be really careful in that scenario, Stephen A. Because
Right.
as a man, you got a daughter, I got a daughter.
Yes, so do
Sexual
yeah.
harassment
I
is
got two daughters.
yeah, is a real thing.
Oh yeah, convict him and throw him under the
Yeah,
jail if he's
yeah.
guilty. But when it disappears and then there's nothing to cling to him, and all of a sudden you're saying the charges have been dropped and what have you. Well, wait a minute. That's right after he gets out of office. So it seemed like it was an effort to get him. I'm not saying he's innocent or guilty. I don't know. If he's guilty, he deserves what he gets. But if he's not guilty and it was just something to get him the hell up out of
Yeah,
office,
like I
then you got
say,
a
hey,
different
hey,
problem.
I don't know enough. Like I say,
Neither do
because I'm
I.
watching from a
Neither
distance.
do I.
Because like I say, as a man who has a daughter, man, I'm always going to protect women. Because the one thing,
So am I.
hey, we got to be careful with women. Because man, it's some dogs out there.
There's some no good bastard ass men out there.
Yes,
No question about it.
yes.
No question.